Like, no, this is metal chair on fire. No.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
And this is We Watch Spookies.
Just what instrument is that supposed to be?
I don't know. It's a horn of some kind.
Of some kind. Today's movie is Hellraiser. Hellraiser is a 1987 horror film directed by Clive Barker, starring Andrew Robbins, Claire Higgins, and Ashley Lawrence. And a bunch of guys who get hammered in the head. How about a plot synopsis?
A guy named Frank gets...
That's Frank.
Yeah, Frank gets a cube, and it's a puzzle box, and when he solves it, he gets taken to elsewhere, some kind of hellish place, and his brother takes the house and then cuts himself on a nail, and then his blood brings Frank back, and so Frank needs more people to die so he can get his body returned to him completely, and then the brother's daughter, so Frank's niece, is like, no, and steals the cube, and then accidentally solves it, releasing the Cenobites. And she's like, but he escaped, I'll help you get him back. And they're like, aight. And then they go get Frank.
See, people call it a puzzle cube, which it has a name, which I don't think anyone actually says in the movie.
No, they don't say it. Like, that's the thing is, like, this movie has...
Maybe they don't say it until the second one.
Well,
It's kind of a dumb name, actually, so it's kind of okay that they don't say it. I mean, I don't know how they would know the name anyway, because it just seems like... Okay, this says it's Morocco, but I could not tell. I thought it was some, like, Egypt-like place that he was meeting this guy to buy this thing with seemingly more money than he actually needed to spend, because the guy seems like ready to sell it to him after the second time he puts money down, but then he puts more money down.
yeah. It was already yours.
But yeah, which I don't really understand that either. But
Well, okay,
like,
so, like, I don't want to make it sound like Chinese people are bad, but, like, that's what it looked like. It looked like I'm a Chinese opium dealer, and I got this white dude showing up, and he's trying to get us high.
white people.
And it's like, what's your pleasure? I want the box.
Yeah, like it's sitting there on the
I
table.
mean, it's
already. What else
yours,
did I come here
but
for?
here's some money. And it's just, and then, like, that's when we come back to it.
Yeah,
At
it
the
loops
very
back,
end.
which I also don't understand.
Yeah, like, what
so-
is this? But
Really, that's the reaction to almost everything in this movie is, what is this? What is that? What's happening now? Why is this happening? Why is this? How does that work? But they call it a puzzle cube or a puzzle box. And I
it's
think
like the
Pinhead,
lament, I think it's lament configuration or something like
something
that.
which I don't know. It's a bad name.
I mean, it's a cool sounding name.
I guess, but it doesn't really tell you anything about the object.
Yeah.
It's not. But see, you're right. This is another one where they don't. A lot of the stuff that people remember doesn't happen until the second one, like how they don't name the Book of the Dead in the first Evil Dead, what it's actually called later.
Well, like, even Pinhead isn't called Pinhead in this one. It's like he's credited as leader Cenobite.
Yeah.
And then you get Butterball Chatter, and then, like, female Cenobite. Like, she doesn't even have a name either.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I think in the story, the Clive Barker story that he wrote before, then he wrote the version of it for the movie, was I think the Pinhead, or the person with the Pinhead-like characteristics, was the girl one. And then when they made the movie, they actually switched it and invented this whole, like, beast thing that rides on wheels that we can very obviously see in one shot, unfortunately. But it's not much of a puzzle to solve.
No.
Like, you know, even like Yu-Gi-Oh has to put together the Millennium Puzzle, and it's in many pieces. I don't remember how many I think they say, but there's actually, like, something you actually actively have to do. But in this, it's like how there's the thing that has the map in it in
Treasure Planet.
where he just, like, fiddles with it for a moment and just like accidentally opens it. It seems like there's no. It doesn't seem like there's any. That, I mean, in the case of this, it doesn't seem like it should even be difficult to solve, because don't they kind of want you to like summon them so they can like
take you,
soul sex you or whatever it is that they do. And then this is another case of the like, but why does this object exist? How does this magic work? So, and then we don't even get an explanation like, oh, they met with Satan himself, like we did in Hocus Pocus, which this is a hard turn because the last movie was Hocus Pocus, which was fairly family friendly, and then right here we have Hellraiser, and
don't take your kids to this one.
Preferably not.
Which this is rated R. It was originally rated X by the MPAA, and so they cut a few things in order to get it down to R. So it was originally even more don't take your kids to this one, or probably don't take anyone to this one. This content may be offensive to everyone. You may not want to go in here.
Isn't that like the same thing as going to see a comedian?
Well, it used to be.
This content is offensive to everyone.
Maybe not anymore.
Just suck it up.
Yeah, just suck it up. Well, okay, so we have an alternate title here, which is not a real alternate title. They didn't actually consider it for this. It was a working title, which it was probably never meant to actually come out under. But the working title was Sadomasochist from Beyond the Grave.
What?
Which is terrible. Sadomasochist, yeah.
Sadomasochist.
Which the story that it's based on is called The Hellbound Heart, which at least has hell in the name. Although their relationship to hell is not that clear in this one. Supposedly it becomes more clear later, and then less clear even later than that as they go on, because there's like 7 of these things and only 2 or 3 of them have Clive Barker's actual involvement, and then other people come in and just
like, wait a
fiddle
minute.
and mess and kind of make a mess of things.
It's like, now you telling me I have to read the comics too? What is this?
Comic books. They're not angels.
Oh.
I don't. He's
angels
like Pinhead
to
is
some.
like angels. Just it's like who are those people are insane.
Yeah,
and you should not. No one should listen to them.
But
I suppose
mad people are the only people who are sane in a mad world.
Guess so.
Which is still kind of dumb.
So Frank seems really full of himself in like terms of his pleasure adventures that he's had previously, because he says like, I thought I'd been to the edge, and it's like, what, like with Larry's wife, like that was the edge? This seems fairly ordinary to me. So you had to go from that to summoning hell demons to get it off. Like, although it does seem as if it was something that we can't even understand how good it was, because that's her only motivation for wanting to save like Visible Man from Anatomy class with multiple murders with hammers.
Don't look at me.
Because there's no, like, why? Why are you going to murder for him? Why? Like, so what? You had an affair. Now you're married to Larry. Was the sex that good? It can't possibly have been. Which, it's so awkward. All of those guys that she meets in bars in the afternoon and brings home, like, they're all so awkward.
Hey, that's why they went home with her.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, once they get there, they're just like, well, I guess we'll lay on the dusty floor. I guess.
Here, just come into this darkly lit room with no furniture.
This'll be fine. No furniture, boarded up windows, rats squeaking over there, although they're much quieter than the spiders that were clickety-clacking in, what movie was that even? I can't even remember now. That was Chainsaw Massacre, wasn't it? Where was the loudest ever spiders?
Yeah, no, that was the Granddaddy Longlegs.
Granddaddy Longlegs.
Because they were just...
just don't make any sound normally, but they made a ton of sound.
Talking about some mutation going on.
Squeaky rats. Sometimes because they're nailed to the wall, which also nobody notices.
Which I'm not going to complain about. Like, they have every right to squeak at this point.
Well, they do, because they're nailed to the wall.
Yes.
And that's not okay with them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Frank is brought back. I don't know how he's brought back because so
Well, I was really
Larry-
unclear on what happened to him when he was like sex demoned to death originally, because there's just like Pinhead places pieces of his face on the floor, but it seems as if like goopy remains of him are under the floorboards or something that are then revived by the extreme amount of bleeding that Larry experiences.
okay, so Larry convinced his wife to move into the house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
that- okay.
the old family house.
That's fine. There's a lot of nasty shit in it because Frank is a slob and has
And
been
he's
gone
been
for a while.
dead.
Yeah, and he's been dead.
Yeah.
And so
I'm not sure how long, but
long enough.
long enough for maggots to take up residence.
And so they're moving in. The house is cleaner. Still looks like shit. And
Yeah.
they're trying to move this
Needs pain at least.
mattress up the stairs.
The heaviest mattress ever.
Yeah.
Like 3 guys, they can't get it up the stairs.
I mean, like,
It's a problem.
I'm just saying, like, my mattress isn't lightweight, but I can still move it
you
by
can move
myself. Yeah.
Mattresses, are awkward to move, but
It's like a Fred Flintstone kind of mattress,
Yeah.
just a rock slab.
rock slab. They have
Um,
to stop for beer in the middle. Like they carry it in the door and can't get any farther.
Yeah.
And they
You
just
got
have to
any
stop.
beer? Shut the fuck up, moving man. You don't ask for beer.
No.
I might volunteer beer to you. That'd be like if someone comes to this place, like, who knows if we're going to have beer on hand?
Yeah.
And no, don't ask. I don't know why we're having people help us move. I mean,
I don't know. Well,
it's ridiculous.
It's not. He doesn't just ask for beer though. He like leers at the wife in a very serious and uncomfortable way.
And the husband, Larry, is just like, fine, I'll get it. Like, no.
No.
Move the mattress.
Yeah, you get beer after.
Yeah.
Like not in the middle of the moving, after. Like,
Exactly.
at least get it up the stairs.
And so Larry's not paying any attention to what he's doing, and there's just this huge nail just hanging out. Like how no one saw this at any other point in time. And then it just cuts into his hand like it's just a nail with a round razor blade just
Well, see, yeah, because
taped
that's the
onto
thing
it.
is, it's a very large nail, yes, but it's the head of the nail,
Yeah.
which are not sharp,
No.
typically.
And it just
But-
like
it just-
slices his hand open.
Yeah,
And then his hand's just like bleeding out like it's nobody's business. And then he goes up to the room where Frank ritually sacrificed himself for pleasure, where the wife is standing because she's having flashbacks because she found out that that Frank's the dude that she boned or whatever. It's a mess.
well, I don't think she found out because she knew. Like we see in the flashback, they seem to know who each other are. Like he shows up
Yeah.
and he's like, "I'm Frank, and I know you're getting married to Larry, who's my brother. Why don't we do it first?" And then they do, which seems to be in the house.
It does seem to be in the house, and then the picture that she rips her head off of, that doesn't even look like her.
No, it looks like somebody else.
Yeah, it doesn't
And we
even
never
look
see
like
them take any pictures of them doing it or
Yeah.
being together or anything.
And it doesn't even look like even whenever she has the flashback, like it doesn't look like her during the flashback. It's a mess. It took me a second for me to realize she's having a flashback. Not this is a pleasure vision from the cinema.
Yeah, I was unclear of what was happening for quite a while.
And then like the bleeding on the floor just gets sucked into the floor.
It does.
And it's like, oh, like there's a heart of Frank that is like spiderweb attached to the boards directly underneath. And it sucked the blood up and it created some kind of breach. And he starts forming, and it's just a little bit of blood, and it forms a lot
yeah.
of Frank.
It takes way more to get to each next step, which he actually, what is it, like 4 lonely bar singles guys?
Yeah.
And then he still doesn't even get all the way.
Like, he still
because
doesn't
then he
have his
still has
outer
to
skin.
Take Larry's face.
And so at that point, I was kind of thinking, like after the first one, I was thinking, well, I wonder if it only really works because it's his brother's blood. And that like they're going to have to kill him because that's the last step. Now, granted, I've seen this movie before, so I know they kill him. But I'm like, it's like, oh, I wonder if that was the cause. And they don't really ever say it. It's just he just takes the skin because He can grow everything else
which-
back.
I don't know how
But
that
his
works.
skin?
How you just like strip the skin off and then
Just put it on and it
on.
works. Yeah. But it's nasty. It's a mess. It's actually really cool to look at. Except
it's
for when,
really good makeup effects.
Yeah.
It's like that's the best thing about this is the makeup effects.
Oh yeah.
Like the Cenobites are really good, and Frank is really good in all his various stages.
Don't look at me. Well, I'm looking. What are you going to do about it, Mister? I got no legs.
I am not sure about how the sort of liquid nature of the outside of him works because he's all drippy and everything.
just
But then at
goo.
one point, he like grabs the back of her white shirt and doesn't leave any trace.
Yeah.
So she very quickly becomes accustomed to hammering people to death also. Because the first time she has a bit of difficulty with it, and then every time after that, she just goes right to work.
Yeah.
And
He's very convincing.
he seems to be, which he says to the daughter, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know that you can't just hammer him to death again.
Yeah.
That we don't know that he's
I mean, she like kicks him in the dick, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
it hurts!"
so
Like we
you
obviously
can hurt
know.
him. I don't. This is not really a. Like, I don't think it's an Unborn kind of like, how do you kill something that was never alive kind of thing. Like he
With
was
fire,
Well,
explosives, shotguns. I'll grab this crowbar and I'll shove it up your ass.
That is at least a start.
Yeah.
I mean, the like other end of a hammer is kind of like a crowbar, which there was that's one of the things that was cut to avoid the X rating is the first hammering to death of a guy. There was a shot of the hammer like just in his head, just remaining, and apparently that was a bit too violent, and so they cut it down. And
But yet,
cut that
watching a body reform,
out. Well, we don't see much of
Which
it. A lot of it happens off screen. There's like uncomfortable straw sucking sounds, and
which
You don't really
like
see it.
that was pretty sweet though. Just like it looks like just two arms, and you're like, "What is this?" And it's just like creepy.
yeah, the original forming, it goes
Yeah.
on for a significant period of time, and there's a lot of stage to it.
Oh yeah, and this is like he just sticks his
Stages.
head down, and there's like the brain, and then he forms little fingers. Like that was sweet.
So I don't actually know how they did that, but it looks like it's probably done in reverse. Like parts of it, like they made sections of it and then melted it and then just played it back in reverse, so it looks like it's all like sucking in and forming, because otherwise I don't know how you do that
Yeah.
at this point in time as a practical effect. It's a really good effect. Which that's kind of what makes it such a shame that that you can see the like dolly that the beast thing is on, because it's only for just a moment in one angle in one shot, and you could have not had that.
No, it's like 2 or 3 times.
Is it? I guess it is. But
Because like, okay, so whenever we first see it, it's black, it's shadowed out, so we don't see anything past it. But whenever it's lit, you can see the dolly on the bottom left.
yeah,
And then it cuts back to her, and then it cuts back to it, and it's a slightly different angle, but you can still see the dolly all on the left, and you can see like a tiny little portion on the bottom right. And then that's when she starts to run, and then as it's being pushed, then you can see it on like a good portion of the left side of it. Now, after that, we don't see it again,
yeah.
which I'm like, it's sloppy, and they could have at least tried fixing it, but you still messed up, and everything else looked really good until that.
Yeah, which is why it's so out of place, because otherwise everything, all of the like effects, part of the effects are good, and you can't really see what's going on. So it's not. See, this is another thing that has a name. Like apparently that thing is the equivalent of the engineer character Cenobite from the story, but in the story it wasn't a beast thing. It was one that actually looked mostly human, and it just had like glowy light coming off of it, and
Yeah.
it was the thing that was in charge rather than Pinhead, although supposedly it's still in charge, but it doesn't seem to like tell anyone what to do or anything, and it's not around most of the time. It really seems, and I guess Pinhead, you said, is credited as lead Cenobite or head Cenobite or something.
Lead, yeah.
So,
well, okay, so for this movie's sake, it doesn't really seem to do anything other than scare.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, there is this thing that looks like a elongated diamond, or like two pyramids, one on the top, one on the bottom, like that kind of shape. And it's known as the Leviathan. And she, like what we were in with when the engineer showed up, is a maze, and those things are like in charge of the maze. Because like if you end up using the lament configuration to go into it without having the Cenobites there, then the engineers are supposed to like get you. And so like that was why she went into it and found it and then escaped. But normally using the limit configuration, you open it up, but that's when the Cenobites come and get you, and they take you to like a torture chamber of sorts. It's all kinds of weird. I could have it wrong, but that's what I'm remembering.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway because it's not in this movie.
Yeah.
So.
Now I want to know how Frank brought the box with him.
With him,
yeah, because like there was
through the dimension.
Yeah, like there was no box when he disappeared, and so like the idea is you solve the box, you get sucked into the box, and then something which we see at the end will come along, take the box, and then it progresses the box. So like the box is never hidden, it's never lost, like it's always moving. Like someone new gets the box. So you would think the box wouldn't be there because it's not. And then when Frank comes back, he just has the box. Why does he have the box?
Yeah, because we see Pinhead close it.
Yeah.
After Frank is goop. And so I don't know. Well, I guess maybe it's like under the floorboards or something because they can't take it back with them or something because it's the gateway device. And so it's down there with his heart or something. I don't know.
But I don't remember seeing it though.
No, they don't show it to us, but it is odd when it just shows back up and he's like, this was the thing and it was all of this, and then he explains about what he did. And we see some of it again.
Now, whenever I don't remember the girl's name. Christy. Okay, so Christy works at a pet shop.
Yeah.
And I want to know why.
Suppose like she doesn't seem to know how to do anything. There's a very unhappy old lady gesturing with a canary cage or something.
Yeah.
Like, do something.
Well, I think I'm going to give her some credit because she says that she's got to find a job, so we know she hasn't been working there very long.
And she says she's new, but
yeah.
She should know how to do something if she's going to be at the store alone with the managers.
I kind of want to know what that lady wanted to begin with.
Because we come into the scene late and then she's already angry.
Yeah. And then there's just the dude sticking his hands in the bugs and just...
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so we've seen the homeless dude once, and now he's here, and that's kind of a giveaway where it's like, that's the dude. That's the dude. It was the dude. But I don't understand why the eating the bug scene.
Because he's actually like a dragon or something. So
yeah, it's like it's creepy, but not like extreme creepy. Like we're already creeped out by the fact that he's there, and it's just like, why is this? Like we already know about the weird Cenobite things. So what's this dude doing here? It's odd. And then like the boyfriend shows up. And then they're like, oh, we're going to go off and do all this other kind of stuff. And then she ends up eating with her dad at a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of wondering if we were going to see that dude again.
Yeah, we don't, though, until she tries to burn a metal box in ordinary
No, not the homeless
fire.
dude, the guy who sold the box.
Oh, the Morocco guy.
Because I'm pretty sure like he's the same dude. Because he's the one that keeps it in circulation. And so like...
So we don't actually loop back to or do we don't loop back to Frank at the end? It's somebody else
I
that
think
he's selling
it's supposed
it
to be somebody else because it kind of looks like Frank, but at the same time, like I didn't see his face good enough. Like I looked at his face because I wanted to see if that really was him. Like, oh, they're trying to do a loop or not, and it didn't look like Frank, but it sounded like Frank.
Yeah. So
I was like,
I was confused.
Okay.
They do, but in that first scene where he's buying the thing, they both have very dirty fingernails.
Very dirty.
Like, how did Frank get to Morocco? Like, and then he came back. I don't know. Because he doesn't seem to have money, really, because he's just like living in the house that's already in the family, and he doesn't have furniture. And
you mean he didn't waste money on furniture?
I guess, but he's just spending all his time going to the edge instead of
taking it to the limit.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for you?
How'd that work out for you?
I want to know why Frank killed the rat in front of the woman.
It makes no sense. I think it's just to try to be frightening or gross or something, which a lot of the things in the movie are and don't serve any other purpose than that.
I mean, it's thundering and lightning. It's very, very frightening to her, and then he like kills this rat in front of her.
Yeah. Well, Larry, like, she's not the mom of the daughter.
No.
So this is like an Amityville thing again, where it's like there's a different, except it's the wife instead of the husband. But there's another person here. So there used to be someone else that was in the relationship, and now they're not. And the new person seems like they don't actually have a good relationship, and I don't understand why they're together. Because even when they're in the house at first, when he brings her there, they're really cold with each other. Yeah. And then for most of the rest of the movie, they are, and they don't really seem to like each other, and I don't understand why they're married or together.
Well,
and then
that didn't bother me so much after, because when they get to the house, that's the issue. After they get to the house, and then it's
Frank,
like, yeah, it's like,
that's
oh, okay,
the
that's
reason.
yeah.
But until we get there, they're still, I don't know why they're together. And then they're trying to do it, and she's obviously scared and not happy, and she's pushing against Larry, and it takes him a very long time to realize this. So he's basically almost raping her for most of the scene and doesn't realize. And then finally he realizes, and then he's sort of unpleasant about it. And he's like, what? Like, I don't know what to think about you anymore. Like, you were all over me. Now you changed your mind. What's going on? And he gets up and walks out of the room. So they don't really have a healthy relationship to start with. And then
Frank's looking at us.
Frank's looking at us.
Why is he holding a rat that's not making noise, that's not dead?
Well, wait. Maybe that's like supposed to be foreshadowing or something, because he's kind of skinning the rat while Larry is in the room, and so he's saying, like, we're gonna have to skin Larry before this is over.
I mean, he could have just killed Larry right there, and
he could have. I don't know why he doesn't.
Off. Like,
well,
what is this?
I don't know. Maybe he can't do it because she's the one that always does it. He doesn't hammer people to death. She does, and then he like just sticks his hands in and takes the blood somehow. So it seems like he can't really do anything until he's whole, and he really doesn't. He does sort of stalk around the house and be creepy a few times, but he doesn't really like interact.
Well,
with
it's like,
people.
Is it because he can't, or is it because he won't?
I don't know.
Because like we already kind of get from his personality, he's very manipulative. So I'm wondering if he wants her to do the stuff herself. You know, it's like, prove your allegiance. Take this hammer. Hit him in the face.
It does seem.
Hit him again.
It does seem like they haven't really thought very far ahead. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, well, we're going to get out of town. Like, you're going to kill enough people. I'm going to take the blood. I'm going to become whole again. And then we're going to get out of town. And they'll never find us. But they're, like, interdimensional and stuff. So I don't think getting out of town is going to keep them from finding you, because there's already magic involved.
Yeah.
And so if they don't let you get away, although they did, and they didn't seem to know. It's only because Christy opens the box again that they're like, wait, we'll
What?
take you. And she's like, but him. And that's the first they've heard of it.
Yeah.
So they hadn't realized that he'd escaped from them. So they're not very good at their keeping it people in hell job as it is.
Well, see, that's the thing that, like, watching this, you're like, but how do they not know?
I don't know.
Yeah, and
he's
like-
obviously not in hell anymore.
And then, like, later on, it's like, oh, okay, well, they're doing this, so that makes sense. But, like, right here, right now, it's just they show up, they're creepy. They didn't show up like this before, you know? And then it's,
And they also seem to only be able to show up if someone opens the box.
yeah. Until later, when they're in the room, whenever she goes into the room, and then, like, that's her dad, and she doesn't realize it's her dad yet. And then, like, they just point at it, and they're like, I want the man who did this.
Yeah. Which seems like they should know, since they seem to have soul powers, kind of.
Yeah.
That this is just because he's got his face doesn't mean it's him.
Well, they don't even see him until, like, later.
No.
Because, like, no one's in the room but, like, the body with no skin, her, and then they show up, and they don't say it's him. So they know it's not him. They just don't ever say anything about it. They're just like, I want the man who did this. And then, like, you can't have him. That's my dad. Like, they didn't say anything about it. They just want him, and she doesn't know. And then it's not until it gets creepy.
She totally ignores this, like, giant bloody scar around his, like, whole face.
Yeah. Like, behind his ears.
And she doesn't even ask, like, what happened to you? Like, she's
What
just
is
like,
this?
oh, look, it's Dad.
Frank, we got him. He's dead now.
And it's like, something I guess maybe it's supposed to be like, oh, he put up a fight or something, and like, I got my head all beat up. Since he seems to be very easy to injure, since he almost slices his whole hand off with a nail.
He was very easy to skin.
Which he does, yeah, seems like. He does seem to have this, I can't deal with blood thing that only comes up that one time. But
At one time.
he goes into the room, which I don't know how he knows she's in, because she's not making any noise, and there's nothing in the room. There's no reason for anyone to be in there. But he goes up the stairs, and he's like holding his hand, and he's like, I can't look at it. Tell me, like, help me, take me to the hospital. I'll pass out because of blood. But that doesn't actually, like, come to anything or matter.
Yeah.
So
That hospital scene was odd.
why did the police want to talk to her?
Yeah, I don't
She
know.
didn't do anything but faint on the street with
Yeah.
like a gold box thing. But there's the
We'll see.
it hasn't been reported stolen, has it? So you can have a gold box thing. It doesn't mean that it's suspicious.
Okay, well, the thing is, she just kind of passes out on the street, and then there's some people who just show up, like, right then.
Yeah.
Are you okay? And then she wakes up in the hospital. You know, so, you know, they changed her clothes. They put her in bed. She doesn't have an IV drip or anything. She's just
No, she
asleep.
does.
She does.
She
Oh,
does, because then we see the blood go backwards up into it when.
but see,
hell
that's the thing, is,
starts
like,
to open.
she doesn't have it in, though.
Does she not?
No, because we see her out of bed, and the thing doesn't move.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the thing.
I
Is,
don't
like,
know
they
what
have the
it's like.
IV.
They
but-
have the
but it's-
bag, but it's
yeah.
not a.
And then, like, they show up, and there's no door handle or anything on. It just looks like a swinging door to a kitchen.
Yeah, well,
like-
because I guess it's a security room.
And why is she in a security room?
Because the police want to talk to her.
But why?
I don't know why. I don't know.
Like, what is this? It's like
The police
it's
never
so-
show up.
It's ridiculous.
Even like fake Friday the 13th police. Like no police ever appear.
Yeah, and like between the weird TV symbolism, I'm watching a flower open.
Yeah, most
And then-
boring television ever. The nurse is like really engaged, but it's
Yeah.
just flowers blooming against no background.
Why does the nurse have time just to be sitting there watching TV, waiting for someone to wake up?
I don't know.
I don't know. And then, like, I'm gonna go get the doctor, and then I'm kind of thinking, I wonder if she's supposed to be one of those Cenobites, like, in disguise. You know, we gotta like lure or prey kind of thing. And then it's like, no,
Nope.
they're actual doctors
Actual-
slash nurses. It's
yeah.
like these are real people.
It's real.
For real. And then she just I'm gonna play with the box because it's so alluring, and then I'm just gonna like rub it a little bit and
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. Solve in giant quotes the puzzle box.
what? What is this? Like, I just watched the wall open up,
Yeah.
and there's
It
like
opened up.
and then there's just this thing. I'm like, I'm not wearing normal clothes. I'm just gonna walk into it. No.
Which I guess her clothes are still somewhere in the room. We don't see them, but then she puts them on later, which we also don't see. But when she shows up back at the parents' house after she's escaped from the hospital, which I guess the Cenobites helped with, because the room should still be locked and inescapable. But then she has her the clothes that she had on earlier on again. But yeah, I'm just gonna walk. Like, don't go in there. You know, it's the kind of like when you're in a horror movie, you make bad decisions kind of thing. Like there's no. Unless you just can't resist or something, there's like magic pulling you into it. You have to check it out the same way that you have to fiddle with the box so that the portal can open.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny because when she was getting out of the bed to walk into the maze thingy, all I could think about is like, well, damn, I don't even have level 1 armor and weapons yet. This maze is gonna suck.
So how do we feel about stars?
I'm going to give it 4. I enjoy watching this movie.
I'm going to give it 3, and that's only for the makeup effects. Because otherwise, like everything else, like just, story in general, everything would probably be a 2, maybe like a 2.5, except such things aren't allowed. But it's really good makeup.
It is
really good.
There's a lot of Jesus Christ.
There is a lot of Jesus Christ.
And what was great? Okay, so she opens this thing and like it pops out, and when it happens, I say Jesus Christ because that's literally
it's a real big Jesus. Yeah, because he's got Jesus everywhere.
Everywhere.
There's just like a stack of Jesuses in the room next to the sex bed.
It's Jesus eyes.
Jesus eyes. And none of them look like Weird Al.
No.
So
a small intimate gathering of Jesuses.
Yeah. A flock of Jesus.
A flock of Jesus. Now, the homeless man, so she throws the lament configured thingy, the cube, onto a burning pot. There's just a chair there on fire.
Well, it's a field of just small fires just separated from each other, but one of them just consists of a single chair.
Yeah, and it's
just burning.
And it's not even like a chair that would catch on fire easily. It's like it looks like a steel chair, and it's just on fire. Like it's not like that's evil magic right there.
Well,
like that one, that's wood. Wood catches fire. Like no, this is metal chair on fire. No. And then she puts the box on it, and then like the homeless man just kind of walks up, like he's not being sneaky. He's just like, nope, gotta do it. Look, sticks his hand in there, and you can just see him.
And he just goes up,
and it's just like, don't do it. And then he's whoosh on fire, and then just looking horror, and he's just holding the box, and then like everything falls off, and he's just a skeleton demon dragon thing. And he roars, and I don't know how he roars because there's like no organs on him. It's not like it's like it's just straight bones, straight bones, and then it's just like opens wings, flies away, and they don't yell, they don't scream, they don't do anything. They just kind of look at him, like bye. And then we're back at the table with like the Chinese salesman, and there's the cube on the table, and what's your pleasure? Cut.
Yeah. And we're left very confused.
Like, why isn't anyone talking about the demon bone dragon thingy?
Yeah.
It's pretty tight.
It is a little bit of a Jumanji thing. Like, we're just done with this. We're getting it away. Like, it's probably going to screw someone else because we're just leaving it in the wild, but instead of just putting it in a safe deposit box or something so no one can touch it. But at least they try to burn it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's metal, so unlikely to burn. Now, the chair is actually starting to not be on fire by the end of the scene. So it's not as just like full burn as it is at the beginning. So I think it is a metal chair, and we poured kerosene or something on it, and whatever we put on it to burn is burning off because it's kind of burning down. But
need more kerosene.
But the chair remains. So
the chair just has like holes drilled into it, and it's just got kerosene pumping in some dudes over there. Like, I'm getting tired, guys.
Yeah, there's a prop guy over there just pumping the kerosene. So what about scariness?
I'll just give it a 5. It's got some really creepy shit in it.
Yeah, there's some creepy things. There's a lot of gross things.
I would say like the engineer would like really bother me if it wasn't for the fact that we saw the
We saw
dolly.
the dolly.
Like, I wonder how many people it took to push you.
Yeah, it's a little distracting. I mean, this is for sure one of the, like, if this was happening to you, this would be terrifying. Because there's hell demons and stuff. But
No tears. It's a waste of good suffering. I'm just gonna nope out of this situation. Nope.
Well, she's kind of locked in the hospital room. Except she's not.
There's a window.
There is a window, yeah.
I'm going for it.
Yeah. So this, I want to preface this by, this was the only one on the list. This was a you pick, not a me pick.
Yeah, I totally picked this movie.
And I was really worried when you put it on the list because this is a movie that I was always afraid to see because I thought that it was going to be just like I wasn't going to be able to handle it. And some of that is the design of Pinhead because like just multiple things sticking in someone like that does make me uncomfortable. It turns out not to be that much of a problem because he's barely in the movie. And then the stuff like, you know, he's getting ripped apart by the hooks and things doesn't really look that real.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame because it's like we have really good fake skin and bone and like layers of stuff that's under the skin on actual him. But then when we have to hook into some fake skin in a close up, we can't do that. And it looks real fake.
See, I think that's the problem is they did it as a close up.
Maybe, yeah. But they have to because you have to not see that it's just a piece of skin by itself that's not actually on a person. I think mostly I was too just like distracted by like, wait, but what's going on to be afraid most of the time. There were some things that were like frightening and uncomfortable, but I'm going to say 4. It wasn't really that scary. And it wasn't really that. Like it's missing both parts. Because it's sort of a like, oh, demons from hell with a cube and they got, but it's almost like sort of like an Evil Dead kind of premise. But then it doesn't go in the like extreme things are going to happen that are hellish and terrible for most of it. Because most of it we're just going to watch her pick up guys at the bar so that he can blood suck them. And once we're sort of used to him not having any skin, then that's not that frightening.
Don't look at me.
It's concerning at first when he's all in shadow and you don't really get to see it, where it's like, oh, when we're going to see it, you know, maybe it's going to be terrifying and hard to handle. But then, and I guess it is at first, but then...
He's not very good at hiding in the room.
He's not very good at hiding in the room. Although sometimes he is good at hiding in the room and I have no idea where.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to hide behind or underneath or anything. But sometimes people go in the room and they don't see him. And then sometimes they go in the room and he's like leaning out from the wall and people do see them and then they're terrified. Like the last guy that gets hammered to death sees him before it happens and is like, what? And then she hammers him. And so actually she gets so comfortable with it that she doesn't even put the like cover over the hammer anymore. Because the first guy, it's like, it's on a hook over here and she's got a piece of curtain or something over it and she goes and flicks it off and grabs the hammer. And then the other times it's just there hanging on the wall, just in full view of everyone. And she just goes and takes it off the hook and it's not even hidden. Because a hammer is not really that threatening by itself.
No.
Because mostly people don't murder people with hammers. So you don't just see a hammer in a room and think, oh no, I'm going to get murdered by this hammer. Because it's just a hammer. Nobody's that worried.
Unless it was a talking hammer.
Well, yeah.
And that's a completely different movie.
Well, that's all I have to say about Hellraiser. I'll see you next time.
Later.
Treasure Planet.